Hello and welcome. My name is Greg Dawes and this is Tips and Tricks with ProPricer, where we cover useful tips and tricks to help you leverage your time better and get things priced. Today's episode is a follow-up to the introductory episode on access tags that my colleague Esteban Mercado hosted a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't already seen that video, I recommend watching it so you're familiar with creating and using access tags. A link to that episode has been included in the description below. As most of you already know, access tags is a new feature in ProPricer version 9.3 build 107 that provides greater control over the data that users have access to. In other words, access tags can either allow or prevent users from seeing certain items in their ProPricer libraries. Items such as proposals, tables, folders, resources, reports, products, parts, and assemblies can all be tagged. This can help to not only reduce clutter in the user interface, but also to prevent data entry errors. But first, let's talk about some scenarios where you might want to use access tags to make data hidden for specific users. Imagine that your organization is comprised of multiple business units and locations, yet they share a single ProPricer database. In this case, each unit only needs to see the database items that relate to them, but they see items from all organizations' units. This can make ProPricer pretty cluttered, but access tags can be used to clean up the clutter so each location only sees their relevant data. In another scenario, imagine that a bunch of your global data is outdated, whether that be outdated resources, old rate tables, or proposals that were submitted long ago. This data can be hard to delete at times, so instead, access tags can be used to hide them from all ProPricer users. Lastly, if your organization has sensitive data that only certain users have clearance for, access tags can be used to restrict all other users from seeing that data. So, let's do a very brief overview of creating access tags. Access tags are created by clicking the Access Tags button in the Setup ribbon. As you can see, we've got a few created here, and access tags are assigned to users in the User Information section. So just like in the first scenario we discussed earlier, let's assume that your company has multiple business units and each one uses its own set of resources, rate tables, and proposals. To organize these with access tags, I'm going to head over to the Resources library. By default, every item has the All Access tag, which means the item is visible to everybody. In the Access Tags column, you can see that the resources have been assigned to the various business units. Additionally, you can assign multiple access tags to one item so that it is visible to the users from multiple selected locations. Next, let's look at our direct rate tables, which have been moved into specific folders. Each of these folders has been assigned an access tag for a particular business unit. So, all of the rate tables inside this folder are only visible to the users that have the folder's access tag. Likewise, the proposals have also been placed into folders for each business unit. Again, all the proposals inside each folder are only visible to the users that have the access tag associated with the folder. So, like I mentioned earlier, if we hadn't assigned any access tags, users at every business unit would see all the resources, rate tables, and proposals. However, now that we've assigned access tags, let's take a look at what it looks like for a user. I've already logged into another session of ProPricer using Bryant, which I'll go to now. Right away, you can see that we only see the proposals, direct rate tables, and resources specific to the LA business unit. However, if you remember, there were several resources that had the All tag, meaning they can be viewed by everybody. As we can see here, Bryant is able to see a total of 28 resources, including some of the outdated resources. Okay, now let me switch back to the System Administrator account and go to the Resources tab. A number of years ago, we changed from abbreviating resource names to using full names. So all these old abbreviated resources that are not being used by any location can be hidden. Let me perform a quick filter for the All Access tag. Select them with Control A Then add the historical no longer used tag to hide these outdated resources. Switching back over to the Bryant user, you can see that the number of viewable resources has been reduced from 28 to 16, a difference of 12, which is the total number of old, outdated resources. My final example shows how access tags can be used on reports. Let me switch back over to the System Administrator account. Click on Report List in the Reports ribbon. We have this specific report, SCS CTS Annual Summary, that is only used by the DC location. So I will right-click, select Assign Access Tags, and move DC from the left over to the right and click OK. Now, this report can only be viewed by those users with the DC access tag. In summary, access tags can allow or prevent users from seeing items in ProPricer, which can help to not only reduce clutter in the user interface, but also to prevent data entry errors. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please share it with your colleagues who use ProPricer. If you have any questions about ProPricer, or maybe even some tips and tricks of your own, please email us directly. Who knows, your tip might just end up in our next video. Again, my name is Greg Dawes, and as always, thanks for watching.